to dissect your customer's brain. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back. I'm not in the orange office today. I'm in a random room in Pombo Manor. I'm speaking to you a little more quieter because we have children that are asleep right now, and we'd like to keep it that way. I am in Grants Pass, Oregon, though, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about psychology, a little bit about your customer's brain and how it works, and a couple of ideas that I came across that really completely changed my life in terms of how I relate with myself and how I relate with others, including relationship with my wife, how I deal with coworkers, and how I deal with customers, long-term customers and clients. If you'd like to learn more, if you find any of this interesting at all, and you'd like to see how it applies specifically to your business, you're going to want to set up a time to be able to chat with me or somebody at brianjpombo.com. And if you go to brianjpombo.com, you're welcome to purchase a strategy session when we can talk about any of these things that you would like and be able to fit it into your business and be able to make it profitable for you. If you happen to be a business owner in the self-reliance field, meaning that you help people to become more self-reliant through your products, your services, or your story, you're someone I'd like to talk to, especially if you're a business owner or an executive. And go to dreambizchat.com. dreambizchat.com. You can find the link in the description, or you can just type it in directly, dreambizchat.com. On that website, it's pretty self-explanatory. Watch the video, fill out the application, and we'll go from there. If you qualify, you'll get a chance to be able to talk with me for free. So let's get back to dissecting your customer's brain. Okay, there's a lot of different things that a person can go into when discussing human psychology, and when it comes to how you relate back and forth with your customer base, whether they be prospective customers, current customers, or past customers. And that's how I like to divide them up too. That's a whole nother issue. But I always love dividing things up into threes. So whenever I find something that divides things up into threes, it tends to stick in my mind and it tends to make a lot of sense. This particular concept was introduced to me by Kathy Kolbe. You can find her name in the description. Kathy Kolbe, inventor of the Kolbe Index. And she does a whole lot of work in the format of conative thinking, and I'm going to go into what that is in a second here, and how she describes it. And it's a theory that I definitely subscribe to. I've just seen too much in working with people to not believe this to be true, and that's that you can very easily split up the conscious mind into three different spots. So everything that you would call maybe your personality or how you function in everyday life can be broken up into one of these three areas. So I'll show you my little diagram here. So here's average person here, average brain, and it's split up into these three areas. You've got cognitive, affective, and conative. Now, cognitive, everything's backwards from my end, so I sometimes move things the wrong direction. Everything cognitive, has everything to do with your thinking, everything you do in terms of thinking and thought. So that this is in terms of what you're learning. Everything in school is mainly based on a cognitive basis. It's what you consciously know. So that can range from everyone can range, and it changes throughout your life. You can know very little at first, go through some schooling, go through life, learn a whole bunch, maybe forget a whole bunch. Cognitive can go up and down throughout your lifetime. So, and everyone's on a different level in terms of cognitive. Affective, it has to do everything with feeling, and specifically relationships, and feeling with relationships. So everything that you feel on an emotional level and how you relate with your emotions comes back to the affective. A lot of times when people describe personalities, if you've studied any type of personality theory, whether it be Myers-Briggs test is a common one you might see out there. Another one is the DISC, which is all based on, forgot his name, the original person that started discussing it. Basically breaks down all of your personalities into 4 different sectors. So sometimes that's called the DISC profile. Sometimes it's referred to by the 4 humors in the body. There's a whole bunch. We're going to get into that on another talk. In fact, tomorrow we'll talk about affective. Conative is one that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's everything that has to do with doing. So all of your action phase is actually on a different level of your brain than the other 2. How you act, how you willfully move forward in something, how you do work, whether it be in school or whether it be in your job, that all comes down to conative. And conative has been broken down into 4 main sectors. Everyone's got a little bit of each, but depending on where you would be on a scale can tell you a whole lot about a person on where they land on conative. And that's another area. We'll talk about that in a couple days, but I wanted to break down these 3 areas just to show you, just to start the conversation, and we're going to get a little bit more deeper. Cognitive is the definitely the area that is the most complicated, and it's going to be very, very different across the board with most people. But it all has to do with thought and memory and so forth. We're going to dig into affective and conative and talk about how it affects your business. Tomorrow we'll talk about affective. So how do your feelings and how do your customers' feelings determine how they relate back and forth to you, and whether they actually relate to you or not? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.